Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have someone who's currently a life coach with an international client base comprised of athletes, entertainers, and business professionals. Donald Spider-Man Thomas, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you, Dave. It's been a long while getting here, but
wow, fantastic. I mean, I've had this to and fro. I've had my own obstacles in a way, but that's what life is, isn't it? You overcome these obstacles.
That's right.
And then you get there. So I'm really inspired by the work you've done. And probably I'm just following behind you in terms of what you're doing. I've got a BA in politics and society, whereas yours is in liberal arts and science and holistic health, which is more appropriate with what you're doing. Although politics is life as well. There's a kind of people's lives are affected by it. But my real job was a firefighter and a track athlete as well, so I was into fitness since I was a very young age, since I was 10, 12 years old, so the mid to late 70s really, when I was a kid. But of course you've been practicing all this stuff long before me.
I got into it. I was, as a young man, every winter I would have sinusitis, you say from October to March. My nose would just kind of close up. I'd have to be on nose sprays, which is terrible. I'm one of those people. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had a knee disease when I was 12 years old, and it wound up being something called Osgood-Schlatter disease, which it's pretty common among active boys. The knee bone is the last bone to harden. Now that we have more and more girls involved in sports, they're also seeing it. I had complications, and I had approximately 12 pieces of bone chip removed from each knee when I was 19. Mm-hmm. And while I was convalescing, I read a book on rope jumping. And, the whole point was that whereas you run, you come down with 2 to 3 times your weight.
That's
with
right,
rope jumping, you're learning how to be light on your feet and you're on the balls of your feet. So it was something that I really looked into and enjoyed it. And I took that off and got the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, it's a very similar kind of thing, because that's why probably rope jumping and running and jogging is probably more similar than just simply walking. And not that walking, anything's wrong with walking, but haven't got that up and down movement. So you could be walking as fast as a jogger, but you're not getting the same kind of effect as actually lifting your whole body off the ground and back on again.
Correct.
Which obviously is what road jumping is doing as well. And of course, jumping's related to plyometrics, which obviously uses more energy and everything else. But anyway,
it does. And it's even more, they found out even from a pediatric standpoint that one of the best things you can do for adolescent bone strength is running and jumping. Yes, because that jumping is a form of force that helps the bone to harden.
Yeah. Well, I took up long jump and sprints and a little 400 up to 400 meters when I was a youngster, but then probably 18 or 17 years old, I moved up to the 800s, 400, 800s. We're still sprinting, but still anyway. Yes, probably doing your principle. Well, it's enough about that. So you're from Brooklyn, which I've been there. I've got some family from the Caribbean that migrated there, and I've got cousins that were born there in Brooklyn. So that's interesting. Whereabouts in Brooklyn, by the way?
I'm from Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. I happen to, for those people who have ever seen a one-man show of Mike Tyson grew up on Amboy Street between Sutter and Blake Avenue, a dead-end street. I grew up on Amboy between Riverdale and Livonia, the other side of that same dead-end street.
All right.
So you can say I come from a tough neighborhood.
Yeah, and I've been there. I've been there many times. I've stayed there.
Brownsville produced 5 heavyweight boxing champions, of which 2 were in the Guinness Book of Records for being the youngest heavyweight boxing champions, of which Mike Tyson is still in the Guinness Book for being the youngest heavyweight boxing champion. So as I say to people, that gives you an idea of what kind of childhood you must have growing up in Brownsville.
Yeah. You must have a very similar thing to me. I went to elementary school, and we had 2 heavyweight champion boxers produced from there. David Hayes, I've probably heard of him, and Lloyd Hunnigan, who was there. Well, his brothers and sisters was in the same year as me. They were around the same age as me, but Lloyd Hunnigan's a bit older, and he wasn't heavyweight. He was middleweight. But David Hayes also went to that school, and I'd left long before he came, but. Similar kind of thing, really. They're in the neighborhood.
Adversity produces athletic champions.
I know. But actually, Brooklyn's actually got some. I mean, Spike Lee lives there, and it's actually turned quite trendy, hasn't it? Really, people.
This is what they tell me. They say it's become very yuppie, very yuppie,
very buppy and yuppie.
yes. That's what they tell me.
Let's get our audience inspired by the work you do. So you've got 3 books out. On the subjects of motivation, fitness, and vegetarianism. How long have you been a vegetarian for?
Since I was 19 years old. So 51 years.
Yeah, because I mean, you were born looking at it 11 years before me, so that's a fair old time to. I mean, the other thing is that you're probably the longest fitness coach or personal trainer and life coach that I know that's been around, because really those haven't really been materialized since the 90s or even the turn of this century.
True. Very true.
In actual fact, coaches, when I was around, athletics coaches, track coaches, they're in effect fitness coaches and life coaches as well, aren't they? Really, they motivate you and everything, so you're very much one of the early adopters of all this, but then
I'm a pioneer.
A pioneer, that's it, pioneer. Although saying that, Les Brown probably he started all his work doing this. He
I've been out there for a while.
Yeah, you've been up there for a while. And Les Brown has probably been there for a while, but he was a politician, I think, at first, wasn't he? He was a Democrat.
I believe so.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So I don't want to go into our politics degree or anything like that, but yeah. Oh wow! So, and you also broke the Guinness Book of Records in public speaking, which obviously is something I want to try and do more of with my book. I only got 1 book, by the way. So, how did that come about?
Well, what it comes down to is that I used my books to break the world records for public speaking. So I was a part of a school called the Tree of Life, located in Harlem, a school of metaphysics and alternative health, in particular herbology, vegetarianism. And so I wrote a book that was used as my doctoral thesis in metaphysical philosophy, called The Philosophy of Divine Nutrition. Basically, it's an internal martial art promoting health and nutrition. And so using the Guinness Book of Records as a way of actually presenting that book. It was my marketing plan, if you will. So the first 2 books that I wrote, both of those books are what I used to actually break Guinness records in public speaking.
Oh, wow.
And I have a picture in the 1989 Guinness Book of Records. There's a picture of the book in front of me. So it was a marketing ploy, if you will. I mean, 93 hours is a little bit more than a ploy, but it was a way of marketing the book, inexpensive, to let people get a feel for this. You talk about going back in the day. I refer to myself as an OG, original Guinness. And the reason for that is that I was in the Guinness Book of Records before there was an entry fee. It's a $600 entry fee.
I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah. $800 if you want them to expedite reviewing your case. I never had more than $500 total for any record that I went for. So that Guinness book was a way of me being able to get some maximum publicity with a minimal amount of money.
Yeah, and that was taken seriously in the 70s when I was reading the Guinness Book of Records. I really, inspired by that as well. The Guinness Book of Records, not the word Guinness because that implies alcohol, but of course
Well, it's the same people, but
they sponsored the book. But in any case,
yes,
and I mean, it's very inspiring when we hear about the tallest person in the world now is this, or the person that managed to stack so many X, Y, and Z is that, and of course, for your thing as well. So, again, that's inspiring, and it's still going strong now, isn't it? Guinness Book of Records, I suppose it's any world record, a world record's a world record, isn't it? Really? So,
right.
Yeah. So I'm going to really get inspired with your story, and then as we go into that, we can lead them onto your work that you do and your books and everything, and where they can find it. So you was born in Brooklyn, 1953. Of course, you moved to Hawaii, but then you grew up. Your childhood is growing up in it could be. You could call it a tough neighborhood. In my days, it's not, because it's become yuppie. It's just literally a new city where I grew up. It's like you've got to be a millionaire to afford some of the things looking over the river now. What they've built, whereas it was actually a disused warehouse when I was there. So which I suppose is the equivalent to Hudson River having maybe derelict buildings before, and now it's it's all built up. Manhattan, you can't touch anywhere, can you? Really? I think even East Greenwich used to be a little bit run down, but it's not anymore, is it? I don't think in Manhattan. So, having said that, so you grew up there, and you've obviously said the story about having the issues with your knees. So what's your story now from there, and how it developed you into the person you are now and doing what you are now? What happened from
my professional background is in mental health. And from the time I came here to Hawaii, I was involved in several mental health programs. And so I've gone on to be an executive director of a mental health agency that was dedicated to helping people with mental illness start their own self-help support groups. Mm-hmm. So if people had anxiety, depression, whatever diagnosis they had, part of my job at my agency was to help them form their own self-help support groups, doing that to kind of give them more support in what they were going through. I've been involved in that for most of my professional career. For the last 10 years, I just retired from the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii after 10 years, and I was exclusively a Social Security disability advocate. And so one of the things I kind of tease people about, I said, I can make more money representing you if you're disabled than I could by trying to teach you how to be healthy. But I prefer to teach people how to be healthy, and you can avoid the disability, but I'll do it on both hands. So I've been involved in advocacy, disability advocacy, and mental health. That's what paid the bills, if you will. I was the celebrity chairperson for the American Heart Association's Jump Rope for Heart campaign for over 20 years. And in that capacity, I presented my program to over 60% of the Hawaii school system.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So they sent me all over. When you see those stories about Maui and all the fires in Maui, I've done every school on that island. There was a Heart Association staff that was very enthusiastic, so she had me do every school over the time. Mm-hmm. So it's really, I've just been involved in the health promotion. It's funny because I retired from legal aid about the same year that the pandemic came on. And I always had the intentions of doing life coaching primarily from Zoom, from the internet, because this way I can touch the world, literally.
That's right, yeah.
And so that's what I've been really focusing on, and slowly but surely building that up. Just to give your listeners a quick little insight, the reason my nickname is Spider-Man is because The Amazing Spider-Man came out in 1962. Yeah. There is approximately, right now as you're talking to me, there are about, I would say 915 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man. I owned 914. I needed number one to have every Amazing Spider-Man there was, and I have every other Spider-Man comic book that there was. But I have an online comic book store. So
Oh, okay.
I sell them. Somebody says, well, what are you going to do with all those comics? I said, well, I'll sell them when I'm retired. So I'm
Yeah,
retired.
yeah. Is that Marvel Comics? Is it?
Marvel
Yeah,
comics.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Sadly, even the owner of that,
Yes.
the originator,
Yes.
passed away a few years ago. But recently,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Again, all those comics was all around in my school. I used to read them all the time, So, yeah, in my days they were all around. But yeah, fantastic. I actually am a fan of Spider-Man when I was a kid. Anyway, never mind.
Everybody loves Spider-Man.
So, your first book, as you mentioned, you did the Guinness Book of Records based on your books, but the first one was Philosophy of Divine Nutrition, and that was in 1977. So that's quite early on in your life. Really, that's before you moved to Hawaii. Actually,
That is before I moved to Hawaii. Correct. Yeah. And philosophy of divine nutrition is every martial art has a philosophy behind it. Whether or not you know or study the philosophy, there's a philosophy behind those martial arts. And so the philosophy of divine nutrition was the basic philosophical basis for my program. The physical program is called New Jump Swing. The philosophy behind New Jump Swing is philosophy of divine nutrition. And that's the basic concept of divine nutrition is that every religious book has something to say about diet, health, longevity, herbs. There's a Jewish diet, a Muslim diet, a Hindu diet, a Buddhist diet. In America, Seventh-day Adventists, based upon their interpretation of the Bible, they have a diet, which they also
Mediterranean diet.
The Mediterranean. But the point is that all of the various scriptures have a concept of diet, what's good to eat, what's not good to eat. And so my analysis of that basic concept is what I refer to as divine nutrition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What got you into this divine nutrition philosophy?
It kind of dovetailed. There was two things. Number one, I was the altar boy and choir boy for the first AME Zion Church in Brooklyn. AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. And from the earliest days, I was always curious about what did the Africans use for this? What did the Africans use for that?
Yeah.
And I had a mother who was a very good Southern cook, and the idea of a high fiber diet was something that was always a part of my diet. So I always had a lot of greens, a lot of fruits and vegetables, things of that nature. And as I said, as a kid coming up, I would have the sinusitis problems. And then at the age of 12, I had the painful knee disease. And so I was always a science geek. Science is what interests me. And so from one thing led to the other, and I started looking into things as far as, sinusitis or even knee problems and things of that nature. And it slowly but surely just brought me into better diet. And one thing led to the other, which led to the other.
Yeah, wow. And so basically you've wrote this book, and you say that there's something, you obviously, the internal martial arts mind-body program. So could you tell us more about that program as well, the PDM program?
Well, internal martial art is just what people have heard of Tai Chi Chuan. As a matter of fact, in the field of geriatrics, working with seniors, they recommend things like Tai Chi because it's a slow-moving exercise that helps the individual develop balance, coordination, timing, etc. It's not for fighting; it's first and foremost for health.
Yeah, and Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
It's very slow, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct.
And you do it under the trees for the energy and things like that. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Qigong, which is developing the internal energy.
Yeah.
And so the philosophy of divine nutrition was a philosophy designed to help people develop that I claim to have a diet that will give people more energy. I hold 2 Guinness Book World Records in after dinner speaking. As a way of demonstrating the diet that I was talking about. So the whole idea is, when we talk about not just the title, but the time that I did those books. I did my first book in 1977, my second book in 1986. The idea of sports nutrition was something that was just beginning to be recognized. When I did the first time I went for an after dinner speech record was in Hawaii, and it was to coincide with the Ironman triathlon. They were having a carbohydrate loading party.
Yeah.
In the 1970s and early 80s, bodybuilders were the primary athletes who were into nutrition, because bodybuilding is a whole lot about just bulking up and getting a certain size. Once the marathon craze came into focus, people saw, no, they didn't want to have bulky muscles as a marathon runner. Marathon runners, they're all legs and lungs. They needed muscular endurance. And the more and more the marathon craze began, the more people started looking into dietary impact upon long distance running. And that's when they saw more complex carbohydrates was an important fuel if you're going to be involved in anything for long distances. So whereas the bodybuilders were big into protein and gaining weight, the whole aerobic fitness era, if you will, started motivating more high complex carbohydrate foods, more liquids, things of that nature. And so that's what got me involved in focusing on that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, because there was a big running boom around that
Correct.
time, and the carbohydrate loading was actually the new thing then, wasn't it?
That's
It
right.
was like, okay,
That's right.
yeah, 3 days
That's
before the
right.
race, actually deplete it.
Right.
Then
2 to 3 days before the race. Right.
Then when your glycogen depleted, really sort of panic
Exactly.
on that.
Now, what you and I are talking about right now, that was unheard of in the late 70s. You know, in the 80s, that was just beginning to make sense back then.
Yeah, but people had to realise that it doesn't work for sprinters. It's a different thing,
No. But you look at the difference between a marathon runner and a sprinter. The marathoners are lungs and legs. They're very thin, whereas the sprinters, you see the muscle because you're talking about moving a quick amount of, in a short distance for a quick amount of time. So you want explosive muscular energy as compared to someone who's involved in any sort of endurance sport. You want to have long, slow distance sort of muscular endurance. You want to last for those 2 hours if you're going to run a marathon, etc.
Yeah. But the good thing is they actually brought awareness with the different types of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate was a topic of the time then. And then, of course, they've differentiated the difference between starchy foods or complex carbohydrates and simple. And even if you're a sports person, you can see, you watch tennis, and even me, I became pretty good at sports, from a young kid, so late 70s, you could say. So that was a big topic of mine as well. You see, I used to self-teach myself actually, as well as have coaches. But watch tennis, and you see them eating bananas, drinking water, things like that, and these are not. It's actually science based that they're doing a lot of these things, isn't it? Really.
That's right. That's right.
So that was your book, your second book, The Ultimate Vegetarian Athletic Nutrition Program, in 1986, and you'd already moved to Hawaii. Then, did you have clients around that kind of field? Did you? Or?
Well, I've always had clients. I had clients in Brooklyn, and as soon as I came to Hawaii, I worked with bodybuilders. I've worked with the University of Hawaii basketball team, volleyball players, even some of the Dennis Alexigo was a martial artist. So I've worked with a wide variety from the earliest days of coming to Hawaii, because Hawaii was already somewhat receptive to these ideas that I was, promoting. And it became a thing where, you always, as I said to people, regardless of your talent, you still need to find the right location. The average person in Hollywood wasn't born in Hollywood. They left wherever they were to come to Hollywood to make their name.
Yeah.
And that's the same way. Based upon what I was talking in the late 1970s and 80s, New York wasn't the place for that. Whereas Hawaii, California, Florida, the warm climates in the early 70s, the 70s and 80s, those were places that were doing all of the aerobics and so on, much more so than the East Coast. So when I got to Hawaii, it was like a night and day. Just an immediate acceptance of the things that I was talking.
Yeah. Well, I actually I divided my time up until recently, because I'm of ill health myself, actually, in the Philippines, actually. And it's a very similar kind of thing, really. It's a lot different to England's climate, in Philippines. It's more like Hawaii, really, actually. Similar kind of things there, landscapes. Well, it's almost like Asia, isn't it, really, Hawaii, really, with the kind of landscapes and everything else, really.
Yes, very similar.
Yeah, so that's I can relate to that as well. So you got these two books, and then you've written another book, and I can't see anything about it there. What was the third
Well,
book?
this is my latest book is called New Jump Swing: Healthy Aging and Athletic Nutrition Program. And what it is a revised and updated version of the two books that I used to break the records. So basically, all of the nutritional information that I had gathered since 77, 86, I brought all of that up to date with more clinical documentation to back up all of those things. And I also included my jump rope exercise program within that New Jump Swing book as well. So that's what's out now. New Jump Swing, Healthy Aging and Athletic Nutrition Program.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, Donald, it's really, really fascinating the work you've done here, and I'm really, really glad that we finally got you on the show here today. Is there anything you could say to my audience before we go? Anything inspirational, or before we could point them towards your books, where they can find your book and where they can find out more about your work? Actually, because you're online now, so I suppose people must be able to
right. It's on.
online.
My website is newjumpswing.com, and on my website you can purchase the downloadable version of the book as well as an audio version of the book. The most inspiring thing I can say to people, I say a sick soldier cannot win a war. Regardless of what you're fighting in life, if your health is bad, you will not be able to put all of the energy into that fight, whatever your struggle. If you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to start something, even if you're going to school, whatever, your health is really the most important thing that will help you to carry yourself through. You're interviewing me now, and as I always say to people, I've been in the Guinness Book since 1980. I'm getting more recognition now than I ever did in the 1980s and 90s, for that matter. The bottom line is, you have to pace yourself in life. As I just said, I recently retired. And when I was a young man, I met two very nice people. I was 19 years old. I started working in a mental hospital. I met two very nice people who bragged about how they never took off any sick time. They retired. They both passed away within a year of retirement. So regardless of what you're doing in life, you need to start thinking about a life plan for yourself. There's life after the job, even if it's your own job. There's life after the job.
Absolutely.
You need to be you need to have something to wake up for, something that you enjoy doing, not just because it's making your family happy or your parents happy, and even if it's paying the bills. You can be financially well off and be miserable as a person, because what you're in is not really what's giving you fulfillment. So, I never made big money in the profession of mental health, but it gave me a tremendous amount of satisfaction. And it gave me a feeling of having known that I contributed something to the general improvement of society. And when people start looking at what they want to do in life, those are the things that they really have to ask themselves. Yes, will it make me money? But will it also bring me some sort of personal fulfillment?
Absolutely, Donald. There was a saying someone said to me, I'd rather be poor and happy than rich and, obviously miserable in my life. So, something like that. The same with something like that.
Sure.
So, Donald, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad you eventually got on my show at last. As I say, I'm following your footsteps because I'm trying to do the same thing, but podcasting actually exploded for me during a pandemic. And of course, coaching, I've got my coaching qualifications and just following behind you. Obviously different, I worked as a firefighter rather than a mental hospital, but I had my own experience to give back to society. So that's
the point.
That's my thing after I finished my career. Do you see what I mean? It's like I'm moving on as well. So it's fantastic having you. I look at you as a role model, really, and I'm sure you are to many people. And as I said, thanks very much for sharing all this with my audience today.
Well, it's really been a pleasure, Dave. And just to let people know, it's 3:00 in the morning here in Hawaii.
My God. Oh, my God. Oh, well, I was in the Philippines before. No, you would have been on earlier. You would have been on almost the same times. No, actually, it would have been because you're in UK.
Well, this has really been very, very enlightening for me. And I want to thank you again for the opportunity. And again, my website is newjumpswing.com. And all of the things that you and I have talked about, it goes into more detail on that website.
Once again, thanks very much, Donald, for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Aloha to you and all of your listeners.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.